This continuous lunch. We are now going for third technical session, and we have Mr. Himanshu Parekh, who is a replacement for Mr. Vishal Gada. In fact, we must be thankful to Himanshu Bhai for agreeing at a very last moment. Manesh Bhai told me that only yesterday night that he was intimated that Vishal is not able to come, and he readily agreed. And so it's only on the Vishal's paper that is going to deliver the talk. Friends, most of us are familiar with Himanshu Bhai, but those of you who do not know, he is a tax partner with KPMG, and he is chartered accountant, post accountant, and company secretary as well. He is such a brilliant speaker because I had the occasion to invite him when we had one conference at Pune, and the paper that he was presented was so beautiful that even once Pinaki Bhai and even Geeta told me that they would like to visit certain slides presented by Himanshu Bhai. So without wasting much of your time, I welcome Himanshu Bhai. And before I request him to address, may I request our Vice President Mr. Lalwani to present a memento. Himanshu Bhai.
Good afternoon to everybody out here. So as Natubhai clarified, I was not supposed to be the intended speaker out here today. Just stepping in for Vishal. Vishal is a close friend. Made me a call yesterday evening. I was in two minds whether I'll be able to make it or not. Then I got a call from the chamber, and there was no way I could say no to the chamber. So that's the reason why I'm here standing in front of you. Now, the topic for this session is emerging issues for inbound and outbound investment from a tax perspective. When I started flipping through the presentation prepared by Vishal, it's basically running into 95 slides. And as you all may know, well, Vishal is a star batsman. So he scores in 4s and 6s, and he may well have accomplished the task of completing 95 slides in a lot of time. There is no way I can do it. So what I am going to do is I am going to be selective. I am going to pick up those slides which are important in nature, which really mean a lot to us from our day-to-day practice, and focus on those slides rather than just rush through all the 95 slides. So with this background in mind, let me dive into the subject proper. Let us just have a quick overview of the tax landscape in which we are operating today. The landscape is an evolving landscape, but the amount of developments which we've seen on the international tax front in the last couple of years are humongous by any standards. And if there is any tax-related subject which has got the maximum amount of headlines in newspapers, that is tax morality. Over a period of time, tax morality had become so critical that eventually the G20 countries had to summon OECD to find a solution to this mess and ensure that this issue of tax morality, tax avoidance, tax evasion is buried deep. We are all aware of the Starbucks controversy, the Google controversy, the Apple controversy, and the millions and billions of dollars of taxes which they used to avoid by fancy tax planning. So OECD was summoned by the G20 countries to put to an end all these tax planning exercises, tax avoidance exercises. And that is what eventually led into the emergence of BEPS. So if you look at what is the objective of BEPS, so if I just read out the underlying portion of this slide, the purpose of the BEPS action plan is to prevent double non-taxation as well as cases of no or low taxation associated with practices that artificially segregate taxable income from activities that generate it. So the intended objective of tax treaties always was supposed to be to avoid double taxation. However, what has happened over a period of time, people have misused treaties so as to result into double non-taxation, or there is some kind of a tax avoidance, which we call as treaty abuse in other words, or low taxation by interposing entities in tax efficient jurisdictions. And the objective of BEPS is to tackle this matters. So BEPS is almost a two and a half year project. There are 15 action plans which the OECD has announced that they will be coming out with 15 reports to tackle this issue of treaty abuse and tax avoidance. Out of these 15 action plans, they have released either final reports or draft reports already on 9 action plans. The balance action plans are still work in progress, and it is expected that by the end of December 2015, all the 15 action plans would have been finalized, the reports would have been finalized, and actually thereafter, once all these action plans are implemented by the different jurisdictions, it will basically, it is likely to change the entire tax landscape as far as international taxation is concerned going forward. So with this broad understanding of BEPS, let us quickly move on to the subject proper, which is inbound investments and tax issues surrounding that. So let us look at the different forms of setting up presence in India as far as multinationals are concerned. So a multinational could either set up a direct presence in India, either in the form of a liaison office or a branch office or a project office, or could set up a firm in the form of a legal entity, which could be either a wholly owned subsidiary or a joint venture. And now, of course, you have the option of even setting up LLPs in India and having FDI in Indian LLPs. These are the permissible modes of investment, which I am sure all of us are familiar with. So, you could make investment either under the FDI route, or the portfolio investment route, or the venture capital route, and so on and so forth. Not spending too much time on this slide. Let us spend a minute here. What are some of the critical factors which multinationals evaluate while determining the form of presence in the source country, and whether at all to make investments in the source country? The first and foremost issue which most multinationals take into account, especially while making investments into India, is whether should I be making a direct investment from my home country into India, or should I route my investment to a tax efficient jurisdiction like Mauritius or Singapore, having regard to the favorable capital gains tax exemption under treaties between India, Mauritius, India, Singapore. So that's one of the key considerations. The second important consideration is having investment funds into India. At a future point in time, if I need to exit India, or if I need to take funds back out of India, how do I repatriate the surplus cash out of India in a tax effective manner? Are there ways of doing so? That's something, one of the key considerations for deciding to make investment in India. The third critical aspect is that of transfer pricing. Having made investment in India, how does one go about transfer pricing the transactions between the Indian entity and the overseas entity, as would meet the arm's length principle, and so as to potentially avoid long-term litigation in India. And the last but not the least point is, and it is something, when you utter that word in the front of MNCs just shudder at the thought of that word, and that is PE. By making investment into India, am I likely to create a common establishment in India? If yes, am I in for an endless litigation in India? That's something, that's a thought which is on top of the minds of multinationals as and when they decide to make investments in India. So these are some of the critical factors which each MNC evaluates before deciding to make investment in India. Now, if you look at a typical structure for making investments in India as far as MNCs are concerned, the typical structure structure which they use is, take the case of a foreign company, say it's a US company proposing to make investments in India. We would typically expect it to route the investments into India either from Mauritius or Singapore, having regard to the favorable capital gains tax exemption under the India, Mauritius, India, Singapore treaty. We also have the same capital gains tax exemption under the India-Cyprus treaty, but India-Cyprus is something which is now on the back foot because of Cyprus being notified as a tax avoidance jurisdiction by India. And if we look at the statistics out here, you will note that the lion's share of investments being made into India have been routed through Mauritius historically, and Mauritius still continues to be the jurisdiction of first choice for making any foreign direct investment into India. Let me now briefly touch upon the aspect of indirect transfer provisions which have been enacted into the Indian law pursuant to the Vodafone controversy. So here is a case where SECO has made investment into VICO, VICO has in turn made investment into an Indian company, ICO. SECO and VICO are both located outside India. We are told that VICO derives substantial value from the shares of ICO, an Indian company, because VICO is nothing but a holding company. And the question is, if SECO were to transfer shares of VICO, would there be any India tax implications? And we now have explanation 5 which has been inserted in section 911 pursuant to the Vodafone ruling, which basically states that if VICO derives directly or indirectly substantial value from assets held by in India, which is nothing but shares of ICO, then any transfer of shares by SECO of VICO, if SECO were to transfer shares of VICO, which were to result in any capital gain, that capital gain would now be liable to tax in India under section 911. So this is something well known to all of us now. Now let us look at the possible unintended consequence of the insertion of explanation 5 on the next slide. So here is the case where there is an investor outside of India who has made investments in a Netherlands company. The Netherlands company has in turn made investments in a Singapore company, and the SINCO has made investments in an Indian company. And we are told that both the Netherlands company and the Singapore company, directly or indirectly, derive substantial value from shares of the Indian company. Thereby, explanation 5 to 911 gets triggered in a case like this. Now, ICO declares a dividend to SINCO, SINCO declares dividend to Netherlands Co. Netherlands Co in turn declares dividend to Investor Co. And the question for consideration here is that what will be the tax implications of these dividends declared all the way up the chain up to the Investor Co. Now clearly when ICO declares dividend to SINCO, ICO will be subject to dividend distribution tax under 1150. The interesting point out here is that when SINCO declares dividend to Netherlands Co, can there be any India tax implication thereof? At first blush, anyone could feel, how can there be any India tax implication if one overseas company declares dividend to an overseas shareholder? Where does India come into the picture? But that precisely is the point here, as I call it, the unintended consequence of explanation 5 to 911. So let us just recap what does explanation 5 say. Explanation 5 says that because SINCO derives substantial value from India, SINCO is deemed to be situated in India. The situs of SINCO is deemed to be in India. Now if we look at section 911, section 911 envisages 4 scenarios. Income arising to a non-resident, or rather income deemed to arise to a non-resident, either from a business connection in India, or from any property in India, or from any asset or source of income in India, or from transfer of a capital asset situated in India. Now, quite evidently, the insertion of explanation 5 to 911 was to tackle the 4th scenario, which is transfer of any capital asset situated in India to overcome the Vodafone decision. But the unintended consequence of explanation 5 could be that because SINCO is deemed to be situated in India, can the tax office argue that here is a case where the Netherlands company is earning income from Simco, which is situated in India, and therefore the shares of Simco amount to an asset in India. So in 911 says income deemed to accrue or arise to a non-resident from any asset in India. So by virtue of explanation 5, can it be said that the shares of Simco are situated in India, therefore it's an asset in India, that asset is resulting in dividend income, and therefore that dividend should be subject to tax in India. And similarly, in turn when the Netherlands company declares dividend to the investor, the same point. The shares of Netherlands company will also be deemed to be situated in India, and therefore it may tend to amount to shares being an asset in India, and therefore the dividend from Netherlands to investor co, at least under the Income Tax Act, could potentially be subject to tax in India. Now this is one view, and this is a likely view which the tax office would take. What is the counter view to this, and what is the view we could advise our clients about? The counter view to this is that we have a specific provision in the Income Tax Act dealing with taxation of dividend income, section 914, which basically covers a scenario of dividend declared by an Indian company to an overseas shareholder. And the argument here being that if there is a specific provision in 914 and a general provision in 911, it is a specific provision which should prevail over the general provision. And this view seeks support from several judicial precedents. If I was to just highlight two of them, there is this Madras High Court decision in the case of Copes Vulcan, which is 167 ITR 884. Here was a case where there was a controversy between applicability of 911 and 917 fees for technical services. And the High Court took a view that 917 being a more specific provision would prevail over 911. In the facts of that case, that FTS was not subject to tax in India under 917, and the department was trying to tax that fee for technical services under 911, and the court negated the argument of the department to say 917 being specific provision would prevail over 911. Similarly, we have the decision of Calcutta Tribunal in the case of Assam Frontier Tea Limited, 4992. This was a case of 911 versus 915. 915 deals with interest being paid to non-resident. Again, the controversy was should the interest be taken in 915 or 911, and again the tribunal took a view that 915 would prevail over 911. So the first argument here is that 914 is a specific provision which should prevail over 911. 914 only deals with a scenario of an Indian company declaring dividend to an overseas shareholder. 914 doesn't capture within its purview dividend paid by an overseas company to an overseas shareholder, and therefore having regard to 914, 911 can't apply. There is one more argument, and to my mind a much stronger argument, and that emerges from the decision of Bombay High Court in the case of Pfizer 295 ITR. That was a clear case where an Indian company had paid dividend to an overseas shareholder, and the question was about the taxability of the dividend. Now there are some very, very interesting observations in the decision of the Bombay High Court to say that but for section 914, the dividend paid by an Indian company to an overseas shareholder would not be taxable in India. So obviously, the revenue as well as the court was aware of 911 being there on the statute. Despite that, the High Court held that but for section 914, dividend paid by an Indian company to overseas shareholder would not have been taxable in India at all. And I could further observe that it is, as far as the taxability of dividend is concerned, what is relevant is the place of accrual of dividend and not the situs of shares. So although it was an Indian company which had the situs of shares in India, that is not the determining factor for determining taxability of dividend. The determining factor is the place of accrual of dividend. And therefore what emerges from the Bombay High Court is that but for 914, even when an Indian company were to pay dividend to an overseas shareholder, that would not have been taxable in India. In our case, if a Simco pays dividend to Netherlands or Netherlands pays dividend to an overseas investor, how would that at all be taxable in India? So these are the counter views, and after a careful evaluation of both these views, I would like to believe perhaps that the second view is the better view, that 914 being a specific provision, and our case, because it does not fall within the purview of 914, dividend by Simco to Netherlands and Netherlands to investor ought not to be liable to tax India under the Income Tax Act. Having said that, even assuming for a moment, if we were to come to a conclusion that such dividend could be taxable under obviously we need to evaluate the provisions of the tax treaty. So here is a Netherlands company earning dividend from a Singapore company. The question which arises is which treaty do we apply firstly? Given the fact that we are looking at taxation of a Netherlands company in India, it's obviously the India-Netherlands tax treaty that we need to look at. Having entered the Netherlands treaty, we go to Article 10, which deals with taxation of dividend. Article 10 states that where dividend is paid by a company in one contracting state to a resident of the other contracting state, such dividend shall be taxed under Article 10. In this case, dividend is not paid by an Indian company. So for Article 10 to apply, if an Indian company was to pay dividend to a shareholder in Netherlands, then only Article 10 could apply. Here dividend is paid by a Singapore company to Netherlands company. Therefore Article 10 does not apply. So then the question is, what happens in this case? The answer to that is, we need to then look at the other income article to see whether such dividend could at all be taxable in India. Unfortunately, under the India-Netherlands treaty, there is no other income article at all. And unfortunately, therefore, in the facts of this case, the eventual taxability may be determined by the provisions of the Act rather than the treaty. But if there was to be another income article, say instead of Netherlands, it was to be Mauritius. Mauritius treaty clearly says that other income will be taxable only in the state of residence. So if a Mauritian entity receives dividend from a Sinco, in our example, then such dividend would be taxable only in Mauritius under the treaty and not in India. But unfortunately, in case of Netherlands, that would not be the case. But even under the Act, as I mentioned earlier, I think there is a good case to argue that this dividend from Singapore to Netherlands, in Netherlands to Mexico, should not be liable to tax in India. As we discussed earlier, one of the key parameters while making investment in India and something which MNCs really care a lot about is avoiding any PE exposure in India. So let's briefly touch upon if an overseas entity were to invest in India, could it create a PE in India? Under what scenarios could it create a PE? And are there any ways to avoid such PEs? Now, that basically takes us to action plan, action point 7 of the OECD, which basically deals with the concept of artificial avoidance of PE status. So the OECD has made a detailed investigation into how people are able to artificially avoid PE in source states and has come up with 3 concrete recommendations to avoid such malpractices. The first recommendation basically deals with artificial avoidance of PE under a commissioner arrangement, and we'll touch upon this aspect in detail in the next slide. The second important aspect touched upon by the OECD deals with artificial avoidance of PE through the specific activity exemption. Now, what do we mean by specific activity exemption? Here, the OECD basically refers to Article 5(4), Para 4 of Article 5, which deals with exclusions to the definition of PE. So, for example, where an overseas entity has presence in the source country for display, storage, and delivery of goods, that is basically excluded from the definition of PE. Now, the controversy which arises because of this is that, take the case of an e-commerce company. For e-commerce company to have a physical warehouse in the source state and not at one location, at multiple locations, that is a core business activity of an e-commerce company. It is not an ancillary activity, it is not a preparatory or auxiliary activity. And therefore, if this clause were to continue in treaties, then what would happen is all e-commerce companies earning income from source states where they may have large warehouses, and you look at cases of Amazon, Flipkart, etc., where they promise delivery of goods within 1 day. That means there are umpteen number of warehouses and godowns all across India. And to then take a view that because a place where goods are stored and from where they are delivered does not amount to PE would virtually mean that MNCs would earn huge revenues from source state without forming a PE. So to tackle this, the OECD has made 2 recommendations. The first recommendation is that either the word delivery should be dropped from the exclusions under 5(4), so that if you have a place where you merely store goods and display goods, fine, it does not create a PE. but the moment you deliver goods, it does create a fee. The other recommendation of OECD to tackle this is to say that you have this residuary subpara in 5.4 which says that whether the activity amounts to preparatory or auxiliary activity. And what the OECD says is this condition of preparatory auxiliary activity should be applied to each and every subpara of Article 5.4. So if, for example, if you have a warehouse in India and you deliver goods from that, in the case of e-commerce company, it may not amount to a preparatory or auxiliary activity. But in the case of some other company, it may possibly amount to a preparatory or auxiliary activity. So depending on the facts of each case, each and every condition of 5.4 should be circumscribed by the expression whether that activity is preparatory or auxiliary in nature, only then will it cover a fee, not otherwise. The third point which the OECD deals with is regarding splitting up of contracts. Well, you know what most of MNCs have been doing again to avoid it being the source state is to say that let's say there is a big contract to be carried out and the presence of that multinational in the source country will likely exceed the threshold of time limit during the treaty of say 6 months, 9 months, 12 months for creating an installation fee. In such cases, what companies have been doing is part of the job is carried out by one group company and they ensure that the presence of that group company is less than the threshold period. The balance part of the job is then carried out by another group company. And even that group company ensures that its physical presence in the source country is less than the threshold period. So by dividing the detailed job into multiple parts, people have been trying to avoid fee by ensuring that each and every legal entity carries out the activity in source state for less than the threshold period. And this is something which has caught the attention of OECD. And the recommendation of OECD on this front is that in such cases, the source state will have a right to look at the presence of all the group companies put in aggregate. So if both the group companies put together have exceeded the threshold in the source state, then both the overseas group companies could create a fee in the source state. Let us now briefly look at the concept of a commissioner arrangement. Now this concept of commissioner arrangement basically is a concept under the civil law which is not relevant for India because India follows common law. Having said this is an important point here and we may well look at this. So basically, who is a commissioner? A commissioner is actually speaking nothing but an agent. But an agent who does not reveal the name of his principal to the customer. And that agent basically enters into and concludes contracts with the customers in its own name. While it concludes contracts on behalf of the principal, but it enters into contracts in its own name without revealing the name of the principal. And this issue had come up before the Supreme Court of France in the case of Zimmer. And the Supreme Court was asked to determine whether doing business through such an agent could it lead to an agency fee for the overseas principal in France. Now, if we look at the definition of agency fee under the OECD Model Convention, the words used are that if an overseas principal carries on business through a dependent agent, and such dependent agent has and habitually exercises an authority to conclude contracts in the name of principal in the source state, then the principal will be declared to be in the source state. And therefore, the argument of the taxpayer Zimmer before the Supreme Court was that in this case, the contract is not executed in the name of the principal, the contract is executed in the name of agent, and therefore it cannot result in a fee, and which argument was accepted by the Supreme Court. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, if you look at the treaties which India has entered into, if you look at the agency fee article of Indian treaties, it merely says that whether the agent has an authority to conclude contracts on behalf of the principal. Indian treaties do not refer to the point as to the contract has been entered in whose name. Indian treaties are silent on it. So possibly a commissioner arrangement could lead to an agency fee from an Indian perspective, because here is an agent who has concluded contracts on behalf of the principal. Even if the contract has been concluded in his own name, potentially it could lead to fee in India, but not overseas. All those countries which follow the OECD Model Convention, in those cases, this would not result in a fee. And again, to tackle these kind of scenarios, the OECD has now come up with a recommendation to basically drop those words, conclude contracts in the name of principle. The words in the name of principle, the OECD recommendation should be dropped, something which India has always been doing, so that in such cases the commissioner may result in an agency fee in the source state. Let us look at a typical scenario for EPC contract. So we have a multinational company which basically supplies equipment to a customer in India. It has either a branch or subsidiary in India. And the branch or subsidiary then engages an independent contractor for installation of that plant and machinery at the customer location. Now we have the landmark judgment of Supreme Court in the case of Ishikawajima 288 ITR, wherein the Supreme Court has said that any income arising to the overseas entity from supply of equipment, assuming that the title in that property passed on to the buyer outside India, such income arising from offshore supply of goods or plant and machinery cannot be taxed in India. The question which arises for consideration is, does this amount to an artificial tax avoidance exercise? Does this amount to an artificial exercise of avoiding P? And to my mind, I don't think this is an artificial tax avoidance or a P avoidance exercise. Here is a case where genuinely the goods are supplied from overseas, therefore the income cannot be taxed in India. And genuinely the installation services are rendered by a third party in India, and the third party would pay tax on the installation services in India. And according to me, therefore, splitting of this contract into offshore supply and onshore installation should not amount to an artificial avoidance of P. Here is another case, a typical case of avoidance of P. We have a Canadian entity which proposes to undertake an installation project in India. Under the India-Canada Treaty, a P gets triggered if the activities carried on in India for more than 120 days. So what the Canadian company decides is to interpose an entity either in Mauritius or Cyprus and have that Mauritian or Cypriot entity then render the installation services in India, because under the India-Mauritius Treaty, the installation clause has a 9-month criteria, whereas the India-Cyprus Treaty is a 12-month criteria. And therefore, people have been undertaking such kind of tax planning exercises to avoid potential P in India by routing the contract to an overseas intermediate jurisdiction. Having said which, this to my mind is certainly a high-level exposure case. If you merely interpose an entity in Mauritius or Cyprus, and if you do not have substance in that entity, and if you actually do not have people physically present in that entity who have the capabilities to render installation services, if you are merely going to route the contract to Mauritius or Cyprus, but have people from other jurisdictions come and perform installation work in India, this to my mind is a classic case of P avoidance and something which would be captured within the purview of VETs. Escape through this one. Let us now quickly touch upon the new medium and the emerging medium of doing business in India through LLPs, private companies. There are, as all of us may be aware, there are two distinct advantages of doing business in India through an LLP as compared to a private company. Firstly, from an administrative perspective, it is much easier to administer an LLP as compared to a company, because after the Companies Act 2013, all companies virtually have to go through a nightmare in managing their day-to-day affairs, whereas under the LLP Act, there are no such significant restrictions whatsoever. The biggest advantage from a tax perspective being that if an LLP was to upstream its profits to its overseas partners, DDT would not apply, whereas if a company were to upstream the profits by dividend, it will end up paying 20% DDT. So there is a distinct advantage of doing business to an LLP because of the DDT tax saving. Having said which, everything is not that clear as far as investments in India to an LLP is concerned. So while the RBI has now announced guidelines for determining the pricing for doing business in India to an LLP, there are certain aspects on which the RBI has still not clarified its position. The first one being, can the overseas partner withdraw the capital from the Indian LLP whenever it so desires? The guidelines are silent on that. can Indian LLP pay interest to an overseas partner on the capital lying in its balance sheet? Again, the RBI guidelines are silent on that. After having converted an existing company into an LLP, if all the accumulated profits of the company then migrate to LLP, can the past profits be then upstreamed to the overseas partners? Is a big question mark again. Yes, the year-on-year current profits which the LLP makes, that certainly can be repatriated outside India without paying DDT. But the question is, for the past profits, there is no clarity. Several representations have been made to the RBI to come up with its clarifications on those issues, and we do hope that the RBI shortly clarifies its position on these issues. Let us look at some of the other key issues as far as operating through an LLP structure is concerned. Sorry, I have been flipping through some of the slides, conscious of the fact that we have 95 slides, so therefore I am conscious to decide to cover only the more important slides. So what are some of the challenges which we need to keep in mind before deciding to have any MNC operate through an LLP in India? The first and important point is that for having any FDI in an Indian LLP, it requires FIPB approval. Whereas in the case of companies, leaving aside those sectors under which you need an government approval, in most of the sectors it is possible to set up a company under automatic approval. The second issue out here is that while companies are allowed to have ECBs either under the automatic route or the approval route, except for services company where large ECB is not permissible. In case of LLPs, there is no ECB which is whatsoever permitted. That is the second challenge of operating through LLPs. The third challenge is that if you convert an existing company into an LLP, you can't then distribute the past profits at least for a period of 3 years to the partners. So irrespective of the lack of RBI guidelines, even from a tax perspective, if you look at the conditions of section 47(13)(b), the past profits of the company once they migrate to LLP, they cannot be distributed to the partners at least for a period of 3 years. The fourth challenge is that LLPs cannot make further downstream investments into other entities, whereas companies can freely do so. And from a tax perspective, again the question which arises as to what would be the tax consequences if one was to convert an existing company into an LLP. And as we are all aware, there are those 5-6 conditions laid down in section 47(13)(b) for a tax-free conversion of a company to an LLP. But in 99% of the cases, we will not be able to fulfill those conditions, because one of the conditions being that the turnover of the company in the past 3 years should not have exceeded 60 lakh rupees per annum. So the question then which arises for consideration is, if we are not going to be able to fulfill the conditions of 47(13)(b), what is the potential tax implication of converting the existing company into an LLP? The one view could be that, because I have not fulfilled the conditions, this is a taxable transaction, I am not entitled to a specific exemption under law. The other way to look at it is that, even in the absence of fulfillment of these conditions, there cannot be any tax implication whatsoever on the company getting converted into LLP. And the reason for this is that, number one, for capital gains tax to apply, there should be transfer of an asset from one person to another person under section 45. Here is the case that the same legal entity merely changes its form from a company to LLP. So it is not a transfer of assets from one entity to another entity or one person to another person. It is the same legal entity which has merely changed its form. So